Yo, Natsu here, back again with another video. If you hear that I sound different and that there is a different sound in the background than usual, that's simple. It's raining outside, and since I want to do my videos when I relax, well, I'm doing this video while in a bath to literally take off the stress of the day, because by this point it's literally one of the only things I can do. So yeah, two things I want to ask today. I had another channel that was for gaming, but they were only phone games, so I wanted to know if you want me to actually change that channel. Well, not change, more or less just modify it to only be stuff like games people actually ask me about playing on my phone that are free. Since I will not pay for a game, since I don't actually have any revenue from my videos. So yeah, if you want me to actually play games on that channel, which I'm pretty sure nobody even remembers about, just tell me, I'm going to try. Though those videos would literally just be me doing a game, well, either not having any sound in the background, or having music or something else in the background that plays. Basically, right now I'm on my MP3 downloader. If the image is completely black like last time, oh, okay. But yeah, I have a few things here that I could actually place in the background. So yeah. Now, the second thing I wanted to, say is actually that, I'm probably going to, stop this series in about 3 or 4 parts for like 2 days or so, to actually do a small what if that someone had actually requested me about a few times, though I don't know the reason. He put the comment on my videos and removed them after I actually respond to him, so the comment stays for like 15 minutes and then he removes it. The what if is quite simple actually, and honestly kind of interesting. You will see it, well, when I put it out, or if I mention it without thinking. But yeah, for 2 days I might just do that small what if, which is basically overpowering a character to the point where the entire story of that thing can literally just be summarized in like less than 3 hours. Unless I go into my own, little, how could I call them? Tangent? Basically me just kind of running my mouth for a while, just trying to specify a thing that I could have not done and nobody would have even cared about. Anyway, let's go to our story. Also, sorry if you hear splashing sounds. Like I said, I'm in the bath. So, in the last part, we ended it right after Deku basically just kind of realized that he can make clones where he can actually put his parallel minds in for if an actual fight happens. And he also knows that his stomach is connected to every clone, so yeah, even at his house he actually tried it, and if his clone used any of his skills, powers, or whatever, it will take energy, just like for him. And if they eat anything, well, it will also replenish their energy until they're at what they prefer is max. And the rest is sent to the stomach. Now we're actually going for the class president's event, which I'm basically just going to say nearly everyone wanted to choose Deku, simply because they saw that he was actually pretty intelligent, as well as pretty much the strongest, and nobody would actually go against him. In the end, though, Deku decided to appoint Ida, saying that he would be a better choice, simply because Ida didn't lose his, moral compass, that Deku basically, in every world he went, was basically being chipped away little by little over time. Yeah, he still wants to be a hero, and he knows killing is wrong, but he wouldn't be against killing a villain if it was, the easiest way out. Well, not really the easiest, but you get what I mean. Like, if there's multiple choices, but that one would cause more destruction than that one, well, he's going to go with killing the villain instead of making way too much damage. So, yeah, in the end, basically, Ida is still the class president. After that, after that day, Deku actually went to another world collecting ores to actually create a few things. Basically, what's happening is that a few people in his class actually requested, things from him. Basically asking him to analyze their costumes, tell them if they could, he could add something to them to help them with their powers or whatever. Which, basically, two people in the end asked Deku for more help. Basically, when the, not the Hero Corps, the ones that make equipment, basically, when those guys aren't able to do something perfectly or that actually works, since obviously the crazy girl who calls all of her equipments her babies, yeah, she can have good ideas and do good stuff, but sometimes she is kind of lacking in the awake department, which allows her to think perfectly. So, yeah. What that made is that Deku had to made items for both Ida, and the second person is actually Momo. Basically, she had understood that he could actually create stuff that could store items or stuff like that. And what she wanted was actually a pocket where she could actually have either lipids or something like that, or a liquid that she basically has a straw that she can basically suck on for nearly ever while using her quirk. So Deku had to find a way to make that, which basically he went to another world, the magic world to be precise, and basically for nearly 3 months there, which equals half a day there, so since it was during after school, damn, that was troubling. But yeah, basically since it's after school, he could basically pass all that time there, and even if he wanted to, he doesn't need to sleep in his world. He could literally just go to the Nexus zone just to actually sleep there and never have to sleep while anywhere else. So yeah, basically it took him an entire 3 months to actually make something that can actually that she can put food or whatever else in that will turn it into a paste slash liquid kind of consistence, which she can then actually just drink on the go. Basically, what it looks like for everyone else is basically just kind of something that goes over the lower part of her head, to basically cover the nose and mouth. Well, she can put it under the nose, but basically because of how Deku kind of overthinks nearly everything, he basically put it over the nose as well, which she asked him to remove, which he did in the end. But yeah, basically the mouth part of her head is basically always covered, and so when she needs nutrients for her to use her quirk, she can basically just eat it near constantly. And the amount of space that is in there is actually for around, I would say, 10 to 15, a cube of 15 by 15 by 15 meter mass. So basically that's the amount that she can have on her at all time, with the mask not wearing anything. For Ada, what was asked first, the support course was actually a way for him to help him run faster, or to actually have more orange juice, which is actually what he needs to actually fuel his quirk. And basically in the end it kind of happens that Deku made kind of, not the exact same thing as for Momo, but basically since Ida did want to have a mask, Deku basically used the mask idea that Ida had to basically do kind of the same thing. So yeah, basically the only two things he helped people out with is a way for them to actually have a drink on the go. Which Deku didn't really care, but Aizawa did tell him that he should stop using his quirk like that. It could be bad, with Deku just saying that he doesn't actually care about that, and that even if someone wanted to actually punish him, well, good luck on that one. Basically just saying that anytime he goes anywhere, he can stay an entire year anywhere he goes for only 2 days in, the world, anywhere else. Basically then Aizawa telling him that he's really not using the right way of thinking there, but anyway. And basically, when the USJ come, they basically go. Also, if I sound less joyful, let's just say it like that, I'm not standing up, so my voice is a bit different than usual. So, yeah, basically, they go there, and Deku is basically the only one that doesn't have to perfectly explain his quirk, since, basically everyone was nearly always questioning him about, everything he can do. So, yeah. Though when the question passed over Ochako, she basically explained for, her gravity powers, quirk, and then that her second quirk actually lets her power up and send, blast of compressed air while punching, kicking, or allows her to move faster. Though So, from what someone told her, because of how she actually unlocked this quirk, basically saying that she had to train for a few months before actually using it, with someone telling her that she might actually get more later. Deku basically just heard that part and was like, that sounds suspicious. But kind of let it go when they actually arrived. Good thing it wasn't that one. Anyway, basically when they arrived, 13 was presented, they started to go in, and the moment something started to appear, basically the feeling in the air, Deku had already started making clones and told everyone to run. Basically, he made more than just 17 clones, basically making 17 with parallel minds in them, which all have the exact same amount of power as him, to 90% of his strength instead of 100. So they are a bit weaker, but not too much. Though if a clone makes a clone, that clone is also 90% of the first clone's strength, and basically if any clones try to make a clone, they will always be at 90% strength from themselves. So basically Deku can make the most powerful clones, and each subsequent clones that makes another clone basically make the clone that is weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. But yeah, basically Deku tried to grab everyone and basically leave. But even for his reaction time, something basically blocked the entrance so fast that basically he only saw a blur. Though Deku felt something at the same time when looking at that blur, as if his arm was itching a bit. Basically, Deku took back all of his clones and decided to make a barrier instead, which he made just in time before a villain, specifically one that can actually throw bullets with his fingers, since there was one, basically starting to shoot at them, which, thanks to Deku's shield, basically didn't have too much problems. But Aizawa basically told Deku that this is dangerous, he should try and bring everyone to another place, with Deku basically not thinking about the dimension he has that he made, simply because it's literally by this point how it looks is a hell zone, with the only livable place being the fairy forest and a few other spots where people and stuff are protected inside of it. Which is kind of bad if you think about it, because that means that if he tries to send anyone anywhere, they might just get attacked by people that lives there, since yes, he found a way to actually bring different people there, as well as the different races that he actually put in there, and by that I mean either animal or monsters from different worlds. Basically those also kept growing, living, evolving, and crossbreeding for some of them, basically making beasts that are extremely dangerous. So yeah, that's basically a no-go for sending anyone there. So basically he doesn't think of that one and just says that he can't actually send anyone to different worlds. He can only bring himself. Basically Bakugo screaming the same thing at the exact same time, but saying that Deku cannot do that. So basically Aizawa asked Deku if he can still destroy the door, which Deku responds soundly, "That's not a door. That's just a wall." basically because what he saw when the blur happened was someone who basically touched the ground and forcefully raised a massive wall of metal. Basically, he just said that he can make the barrier to basically resist near anything, and that not even something could actually teleport inside of it, which Kurogiri was already trying to do but telling Shigaraki that he wasn't able to do, basically making Shigaraki send the Nomu trying to, well, kill people. The Nomu arrived and basically punched the wall, well, not the wall, but the shield so hard that it cracked appeared in it, with Deku fixing it instantly. The one thing that Deku thought was basically, oh shit, that thing's weaker than me, but stronger than everyone else here. I can't leave them to that themselves. Basically, what he was thinking was actually to leave a clone and go after the quote-unquote blur by trying to do something he only tried once, which was actually to stack multiple of his parallel minds on top of his own, and then stack the accelerated thought, which did make time seem to slow down even more. But the problem is that what was happening was actually that he was basically reading the mind of, well, the one who was seeing it basically looked at it with another one behind it that was seeing what the other one was seeing, but then accelerating that, and basically doing that a few times, which does increase the ability that it has, but basically hurts Deku's mind so much because what it does is literally giving him multiple times the same images, just at different speed, which even with his, well, another skill he has, which is actually high-speed processing, which basically just means that he can understand stuff faster, as well as allowing him to cast spells faster. Basically, even with that, which is actually at level 5, since this thing takes so long to actually level up that from the time he had it, which was by the point of him actually getting the third parallel mind, all the way up to now, he only leveled it up to 5. Which basically means that it took its sweet ass time to level up. And that's not even the last level in that, well, skill range, since it has another level above it. But that one takes even longer to get, so yeah, Deku won't have that for a while. But yeah, basically, even with all that, his head hurts so much because, well, there's way too much information to process, since depending on how many he puts, he basically has different types of image. Like, if he only puts one parallel mind in front of his own, basically making that parallel mind see at 70 seconds in a single second, with Deku's normal mind behind it seeing what that parallel mind is thinking, well, seeing, but slowing it down another 1 second per 70 seconds, his brain hurts because there's actually 2 sets of images that move at different speeds, but that are supposed to show the exact same thing, since he still has in his own mind the actual, well, thoughts and images that the other one has, or I should say gets, so basically breaking his mind partially. So he could do that, but right now he needs to fight the Nomu, since literally no one else would be able to do that. So basically what he did was make a small clone, basically putting it on Aizawa, and basically telling Aizawa to go try and slow down the other villains, because literally by this point this is going to be tough, and basically saying that the small clone would just make barriers when he's about to get, well, hurt by something that's too strong. Aizawa just asking him how, with Deku basically opening a hole right in front of him where the Nomu is about to punch, and basically punching back, with both hits connecting, and the Nomu's body literally just having a wave go through it, since it does have shock absorption. Then basically goes out, enlarging the hole, letting Aizawa pass, and then making another clone inside the barrier, well, two to be more precise, who are both making barriers, which both barriers are only 90% the barriers he can make, but adding them together basically increases it, so now it's even stronger. But yeah, basically Deku says he's taking care of the Nomu, well, the monster, though he did hear Shigaraki call it the Nomu because of his super hearing, but still called it a monster. Basically, Deku's only goal right now is to kill it, so he basically modifies his armor, or I should say change his armor, to basically change from, well, the one he had when they entered, which was basically one that was, well, an all-rounder type, to specifically have it be able to, well, take damage, allowing him to actually absorb more energy from them, as well as actually increasing fire power for any types of fire spell, magic, or any other thing. Basically making Deku just ready to go all out with fire on this one. Basically Deku just starting to rampage. Sorry about that. So Aizawa basically just jumps out and goes after the other villains, which Shigaraki sees this and tells another man, basically the one who had made the wall of metal, to take care of that one. Talking specifically about Aizawa, with that man just saying that he's only after a single thing, and his master should have told him. Basically, with the man looking at Deku specifically. Shigaraki is saying that he shouldn't be caring about a boy, and that this Nomu isn't that strong. All Might could take care of it. It's only here to slow them down. So why does he need that boy specifically? Basically, in this world, the attack wasn't actually made to fight All Might or kill All Might. It was because of the man next to Shigaraki. This man is another Nexus key holder. To be precise, from a way of explaining it, multiple Nexus keys exist in the different universes. I think I forgot to say something about the class. I know I mentioned Mineta once, but I was basically saying that compared to Mineta in the anime. But yeah, there's actually someone else in class instead of Mineta. Mineta isn't actually around in this. I just kind of realized that I didn't mention him and then forgot to actually talk about his replacement. Okay, I will have to explain this right now because I just realized that I forgot about it. Mineta isn't in UA. Mineta never even was able to pass the entrance exam, and so he isn't in 1B. Someone else, though, is in 1A, which is I won't say the name because I actually forgot right now and I don't have my papers with me, since obviously I'm in the bath. But yeah, this boy, which I was actually already supposed to have explained, is pretty strong as well, and did pretty well on the, well, Aizawa's test, and was actually the reason why his team won in All Might's hero versus villain. His power won't really matter in this one, so for now it doesn't matter that much, but in the next part it will come to play a bit more, actually, since in the USJ basically nobody except Aizawa and Deku actually fight thanks to Deku basically fast reactions and then shield. But still, for everyone else it's well, for everyone who was there, it was kind of a bit surreal, because literally they're just all stuck there, phones don't work, and nobody's actually going to come to help them, since, well, Ida cannot leave. Well, Deku could actually blow open the wall, but that would leave everyone else undefended, and would be bad, since it would take a few hits. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Mineta is not in this one, so you won't have the pervy Mineta jokes that I make from time to time. Sorry about that. I really can't believe I forgot his name and powers. And the other thing that I can say about him would be spoilers for later about a way his power works, which is bad. So yeah, sorry about that one. My brain is, well, was dead, is dead, and will most likely still be dead for a bit. Since I need more sleep, but I only am able to sleep correctly during the day. Which means I can only sleep during the weekend perfectly. Which is even worse because during the weekend, normally I have stuff to do. Hurting my own brain even more. So yeah, sometimes I make those types of mistakes for a good reason. Also, I don't know if you actually have the black screen once again. I'm once again in my MP3 downloader. But yeah. So Deku basically fighting the Nomu, with Aizawa fighting the villains, with the man besides Shigaraki only looking at Deku. So what he does basically is, well, waiting. What this man wants is Deku's Nexus Key. Because if you are able to get other Nexus Keys, you can unlock other worlds easier. Though there are ways to actually break into other worlds by, well, unlocking more worlds, when you have enough proficiency with the key to basically allow yourself to enter codes all the way to unlocking new worlds. Well, not unlocking, but basically, well, no, unlocking is the right word, since it's basically just entering the right password key to open a world that you didn't have access to before. So yeah, unlock is the right word. This man's Nexus Key only had 4 door, if you count his own world. And basically he conquered all 4 worlds by himself because of the same powers that Deku got when getting the key, learning. Allowing him to learn the powers of others, copy them, and use them against them. And so, from the 4 worlds he actually went to, well, yeah, he kind of destroyed nearly all of them. Shigaraki basically started screaming at him while Deku was fighting Nomu, and winning, I should say. Though the Nomu basically has around like 70% of what Deku's physical strength is, since, yeah, Deku is pretty strong. And yes, this is a weaker Nomu than in the original. Blah. How the fuck did that came out? This Nomu is weaker than in the original, since it wasn't made specifically to kill All Might. It was only made to actually hold out heroes, All Might included, even though All Might could probably defeat it in like 2 or 3 hits. Since it is weaker and All Might also has an extra quirk. But Deku, by this point, is only around 60, 70, 80% of All Might's physical strength in the anime. So if then you double All Might's strength, since he is stronger in this what if, you basically need to divide this amount by 2. Well, no. Basically think All Might's strength is 200, and Deku only has around 70 to 80 points compared to All Might. Basically just look at it like this. It's way easier to do for my brain. But yeah, basically meaning that, yeah, the Nomu's done for, since it's nowhere near as strong as its canon part. And so Deku's basically bullying it by this point. Basically trying to see what the Nomu actually can do. Seeing the regeneration after literally ripping off one of its arm. Understanding about the shock absorption. The super strength is, well, partially super strength and partially just pure muscle power. So basically, Shigaraki just kind of started screaming at the man next to him, saying that no matter what he did beforehand, now he is his subordinate for this mission. With then the man just telling Shigaraki, calmly but sternly, while oozing out a huge amount of bloodlust, which Deku felt. Deku basically heard what the man was saying. I have conquered my 4 worlds. I am here to take over this one as well. Your master is someone that is interesting to me, and so for when I'm not there, he is the one who would rule. You are not the boss of me. You're simply the minion of my partner. I have entered worlds where people could breathe fire. In fact, in that one, an immortal actually asked me for help in dealing with his brother and getting his fiancée who has infinite magic. All that simply to kill a dragon. Once that was completed, I passed to the next one, and the next one. In the end, I went back to my own world and destroyed it completely. And now I am here to take over this one. And it's not a stupid brat that will take that away from me. Basically pointing directly at Shigaraki. Then saying that, and if he gets his hand on that boy, he will have even more worlds to conquer. Basically making Deku understand that this guy has a Nexus Key as well, and that he wants Deku's Nexus Key. Also, if by this point you understood, yes, this was a reference to Fairy Tail. This guy completely eradicated that world. Which is why when Deku will actually, well, fight him, Deku will actually have places to go and train for a bit, while this guy doesn't actually have any places to go to train with new people. Though Deku won't actually go to other worlds during this fight, simply by fear of the guy being fast enough to actually go kill his friends. So yeah, basically Deku decides to stop playing around and basically uses his unnamed skill, which he basically just called the gluttony, to basically kind of mimic, well, Rimuru skill, which by the time he actually left was still called Predator, if I remember correctly. So yeah, basically he just called it Gluttony, thinking that, yeah, a glutton sounds better than a predator. And basically everyone just saw Deku make black smoke and swallows the Nomu, giving Deku, well, 3 new quirks, being super strength, which is useless to Deku. Well, no, not fully, because it did increase his strength partially. Regeneration, which he already had, but basically kind of, he just saw that, oh, I have the quirk regeneration, and another quirk's regeneration. Which basically just makes him understand that if he eats stuff, he could potentially get more times the quirk he already has, or in the different worlds, skills, and get stronger like that. Which, yes, will happen, but he's mostly not going to do that. He's mostly just going to combine powers by using them at the same time, or taking only parts of them. Which, yes, I know only happened like once or twice up to now, but it will happen more during the forest arc, since that's the moment where he's actually going to be told to try and do that by some heroes, specifically Aizawa, because the Pussycats are going to be a bit more, well, away from him. Simply from Deku actually telling Aizawa that he's going to his other worlds for the entire duration of the, well, training. With then Aizawa actually stopping him, but anyway. Basically, after Deku ate the Nomu, he also saw that a new bubble appeared in his status, which is called Transformation. And basically sees, well, Nomu. The moment the Nomu is taken down though, which Deku doesn't have time to wait and do too much, basically thanks to his Barrel Minds, well, one of his Barrel Minds always looking at his status now, because of what happened with the clones. Basically, he was able to see that until basically his own body kind of was able to just step out of the way when a punch basically passed right on Deku's head. Basically, the man just kind of saw Deku finishing the Nomu and tried to kill him. He basically looked at Deku at the same time, with Deku having the eyes of someone who was like, what the fuck just happened? And then he tried to roundhouse kick Deku, which Deku turned his upper body into slime, which was a good timing because the entire upper body was basically eradicated. Basically, the Nexus key not falling anywhere, scaring the guy a bit, thinking that he destroyed it, until he basically got a punch from Deku, basically sending the guy flying towards the shipwreck zone. falling on the boat and basically just starts laughing when Deku's entire upper body just heals itself. He looks at Deku and tells him that that was a good punch. But if he has the ability to heal like that, that means he doesn't have to hold back too much. Deku having a shiver run down his spine, with Deku just asking why he's doing this, with the man literally laughing and saying in another language, "I want your key to the multiverse. I want to rule more worlds. I want to get more power. I want to get stronger." Deku basically just asking him, "Who are you?" with the man telling him that his name is inconsequential, but if he wants to call him by something, to just call him the ruler. And basically starts laughing. Deku basically just thinks, I need to find a way to kill that guy fast. And basically sets all, well, the other 14 Pearl Mines into all making spells at the same time, which are invisible. Basically telling them to make the biggest spells that they can, strongest as possible, and that when they're ready to all tell him, he's going to find a way to put him towards the sky, where they can all fire it at the same time. All of them basically starting with basically every spell they actually are starting to do being spell that Deku created himself, well, each Parallel Mind created themselves, which they all need nearly an entire hour of loading time, well, of creation time, for a single one. Meaning that thanks to his, well, ability to think faster with Accelerate, I don't remember at which level it is, basically the second level making it so that at level 7 he can think 70 seconds in a single one, basically removing, well, a huge part of the time he needs, all that they need. Also, that time is calculated with the calculation skill, so yes, an entire hour if not using accelerated thinking, or whatever it is. I think that's the one anyway. But basically, using them, he only needs around 1.5 minutes to complete every single one of them. So that's the time he has before actually being able to end this guy. Basically screaming at Aizawa that in 1.5 minutes he should find a way to hide himself. Basically making the guy say, "So you only need 1.5 minutes to actually defeat me? Is that what you're saying? Well, that's going to be interesting to see, right?" And basically jumps towards Deku extremely fast, with Deku using his accelerated thinking, and basically tries as much as he can to move out of the way. Basically taking out his wings, as well as the propulsor, and basically activating magic, Nan, and magic heals at the same time, and basically just zooms around, basically going as fast as he can inside an enclosed space, which is nowhere near his top speed, but making it look as if it was. Basically, he's going, like, just barely under the speed of the other guy, and because he's going so fast, and basically moving towards the same way as the other guy is, he can kind of see him, since literally they're going around at this same general direction. at the same time basically allowing Deku to see him kind of clearly. Though the guy is still able to move faster than Deku can think. Basically making Deku think to himself, and basically a small conversation between him and his barrel thoughts happening in 3 seconds. Basically just we really need to stop relying only on skills. We have to start increasing our own mental capacity by ourselves. Basically thinking that, oh yeah, if they're able to accelerate their own thinking without the skill would actually be better. Deku thinking the same thing as Barrel Mind 8, and basically all of the others saying I. And basically going back to the battle, where Deku, after an entire minute, is basically getting beat down by the guy, while Deku is also trying to hurt him, with the guy then laughing that 30 seconds won't be enough to defeat him by now, with Deku just kind of telling him that you will see. Basically keeping going, basically making huge amount of wins in the entire place, where only 13 and the students are protected, with Aizawa as well now thanks to the shield being activated, until Deku basically jumps, well not jumps, but basically goes towards the middle of the USJ, where the other guy does jump to get to him, Deku basically pushing him towards the air while going down, and finally saying, "Duck!" and basically putting his hand in front of himself, with all 14 spells appearing at the same time. The guy seeing those and just kind of realizing that, oh, magic. Then screaming at Deku that he won't be killed by something like this. He's better than this! Until every spell basically activates at the same time, draining Deku of every bit of magicules, magic, nan, and nanomachines he has, leaving him only with around, well, barely enough to replenish himself completely in his own pocket stomach. Basically utilizing every little bit of magic that he can, well, of matter, magic, energy, whatever, as he can, and threw it at the guy. Which actually nearly killed the guy. Not kill, but nearly. Though the entire roof of the USJ is gone, with everyone from kilometers away just seeing a massive beam of light just going straight towards space, making a hole in the clouds, and, well, thankfully, having nothing in the way, didn't destroy anything else for a massive amount of light years. Basically just the other guy falling underground, basically only having his head and part of his torso still there, allowing him to live for a few more minutes. Shigaraki basically running away after that, which, thanks to Kurogiri, with every other villain just afraid now. Because Deku is still standing, since he used the rest of what was in his stomach to actually replenish himself to around 80% strength. Basically, Deku looking at the guy just kind of laughing, and Deku asking him, "Why are you laughing? I just killed you." With the guy saying, "Yeah, that's the point. You were able to fight me. You were able to end me. This is amazing. I always wanted a challenge, and you finally gave it to me." Then he basically lifted the stub that he had left of his arm and said that he would have given him his Nexus key. But since it doesn't exist anymore, and that his worlds were destroyed anyway. It doesn't matter. But he still needs to give something to Deku, right? After all, Deku was the only person in 5 worlds to actually fight him and be able to stand up to him. And even more, defeat him. Deku basically just started to turn around, saying that he doesn't need anything, with the guy just telling him that he just needs to take the stone that's in his chest. He doesn't need to keep it to himself, but he could put it somewhere else for magic to basically be created elsewhere. Deku just looking at the stone barely poking out of the rest of his chest and asking what it is, with the man saying that in one of his worlds, stuff like this called lacrima existed. They have a huge amount of magic in them and can basically create it near infinitely. This one simply fixed his magic problems. Then said to Deku that with the amount of power he used there, this would be of great help to him. Which Deku basically took it, with the guy saying that, well, at least you're not stupid. And basically not being able to talk anymore. Basically, the only reason he was still alive was because of the lacrima powering him even more. Deku basically looking at the villains and telling them to step down, with literally every villain just kind of doing it because they don't want to be killed. As I was seeing Deku actually kill a villain, did understand that this boy isn't afraid of killing. But then thought to himself that, anyway, if he didn't use that though, no one would have survived this. Deku basically just kind of hiding the lacrima for now, so that nobody else could take it, but having a plan for it later. Also, the lacrima is not a Dragon Slayer lacrima or anything like that, it's literally just a lacrima that creates pure magic. So yeah, if he takes it in, he just basically have a constant flow of magic forever. But he won't. For now. He did use it though temporarily to top himself off, and basically then hide it. But except for that, then a few minutes later, Heroes and most precisely, most importantly, All Might, basically kind of breaking the wall that was made in front of the door, basically asking if everything's okay, seeing, well, everyone okay, with just Deku looking exhausted. Basically, the heroes and police arrested the villains. Basically, the reason they came was literally because of the massive beam of light and energy just kind of blowing the walls and, well, parts of the wall and the ceiling of the USJ open, as well as making a hole in the clouds, nearly exploding a plane at the same time. But anyway, basically, everyone was brought back to school and then told about the 2 weeks of, well, break, simply because, well, the 1 week of break because of the incident, which Deku decided to train during that time, but beforehand went to his own little dimension and actually planted the lacrima in a spot where nobody would be able to actually go. Well, basically placed it in the specific middle of his world. basically like the core of the planet, to basically let the magic flow outside of it, and basically make magic in the entire world. What he doesn't know is that what he just did will actually help the Lacrima become bigger and more powerful. Pressure from the entire world, since it's literally in the core of it, heat from the core, and huge amount of magic that will just gather back at the core, will basically increase its power over time. Deku went back outside to tell his mother that he's going to train, and then leaves for another world, which is where I'm ending it. Hope you liked it. Leave a like if you did. If you don't like how it sounds in the bathroom, just tell me in the comments, I'll understand, though I might still do some videos here, because in the winter, it's going to be a lot harder to actually do videos outside while walking. Which basically means that once snow starts to fall, I'm mostly going to do videos inside because I won't have a freaking choice. Which means multiple times it might be in the bath. So yeah. Later.